Hey Pokedad Fan Club, it's Pokedad, and today we're looking at Monday deck profiles. I've got two deck profiles for you today. The first one is going to be this Speed Entei deck, which we'll talk entirely. We're also going to profile a Raichu Vespiquen deck, and I'll do that in the next video that I have. But on Wednesday, I'm also going to do another deck profile. There's just so much good stuff for Ancient Origins right now. And so I want to just get as much stuff as I can in. So we'll still have Wednesday Word, but I'll have another deck profile there. This deck will be featured on Tuesday Night Fights, the Entei deck, and then the Raichu Vespiquen deck will be on Tournament Thursday. So anyway, guys, without further ado, let's just get right into it. This is Entei. You'll notice the very first thing is he is a fire type. Yeah. And we don't see a lot of fire. Fire just really has not gotten a lot of love lately, but hopefully we'll bring that back, especially with Forest of Giant Plants coming in and grass types becoming stronger. It seems like fire needs a couple decks to come in and at least keep grass honest. So I think this deck fills that bill. It's very fast, hits very hard, very quickly. It's a very speedy type build, so it is possible to deck out, so you have to pace yourself, but at the same time at the beginning we want to get set up very quickly. Alright, so Entei has a Theta Double, allows us to put two tools, and we're playing Muscle Bands and Hard Charms in this deck, so we can choose to double Muscle Band, or we can choose to double Hard Charm, or we can split 1 and 1 there. The one thing about the tools though in this deck is you need to play very strategically with those. Don't just put them on just because you have them. Sometimes I hold tools in my hand for a long time to see what the opponent's bringing. Like if I need to do the extra 20 or 40 damage, then I'll throw the Muscle Bands on. If I see they're building up a strong attack, I'll put the Hard Charms on. So now sometimes if we're looking to Sycamore, we got to go ahead and place the tools, but if we can prevent it from having to place them right away and then we can decide later how we want to use them, then that's preferred. Anyway, so let's get right to attacks. The first attack, and these really the only two attacks we're going to be using, except every now and then Shaman might do an attack of Sky Return. But the first attack is Flame Scream for 1 fire and 1 colorless. We can hit for 30. If we're double Muscle Banded, we can hit for 70. And then next turn our damage will be reduced by 30, or the opponent's damage will be reduced by 30. So this is more of a defensive attack, but still we can hit up to 70. Or we can play it another way. If we play 2 Hard Charms, we'll just hit for 30. But then 2 Hard Charms will reduce the damage by 40 and another 30. So now we're reducing damage by 70, which will give Entei another chance to fight another turn many times. I mean, unless they just really hit you with an outrageous amount of damage. Heat Tackle, though, is the main attack. It hits for 130. If we have 2 Muscle Bands, we can hit for 170, which hits that magic mark on many of the EXs, but some of them not. And then, of course, we could double Hard Charm and at least keep the damage lower and still hit for 130, which will 2-shot most things. Now, here's the only downside, and if there is a problem with this deck, it's this. You flip a coin after Heat Tackle, and if Tails, this Pokemon does 30 damage to itself. And it doesn't matter if you have the Hard Charms on or not, you're going to take that damage of 30 regardless. So that reduces your HP 100, which puts you in a lot easier range to get knocked out. But sometimes you can get in a roll and you can hit heads 2 or 3 times in a row, and one Entei sometimes I've seen last really long. So that's one of the downfalls. And so that's the 2 attacks, guys. We play 4 Entei and we play 3 Shaman, and that's it. We have 7 basics in the deck. Now, because we're only playing 7, it does mean that not quite 50% of the time we're going to start with Shaman. So we do need to be ready to use Sky Return, or we can just retreat with a Fire Energy. But it makes sense to hit Sky Return so we can reuse the setup ability with Shaman. So anyway, if you don't know Shaman, when you play it down, you can draw your hand back up to 6. So the idea is we want to try to get rid of everything in our hand, play Shaman down, and draw 6 more. This helps us speed through our deck really, really fast. So that's it for Shaman. Sky Return does 30 damage. You can put a muscle band on him and make it 50, make it worth your while. And then then Shaman and all the cards attached to it will come back to your hand. So then you can reuse the double colorless energy. Anyway, so that's basically all our Pokemon line. Now everything else is designed to speed us through or to get us charged up quickly. Okay, so we play 3 Acrobikes. Now Acrobike, look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put one of them in your hand. Discard the other card. So this is going to allow us to look through our deck quickly. Battle Compressor, we want to get energy and sometimes supporters into the discard pile quickly. One of the key things we can do is we can put 2 Fire Energies and a Blacksmith with a Battle Compressor, and then we can VS Seeker the Blacksmith out, and we can Blacksmith 2 Fire Energy right onto Entei, attach a double colorless, and Entei is ready to go turn 1. Now I still recommend that you choose to go first if you play this deck, but if you go second, it's not a bad thing, because you can sometimes, I would say more than 50% of the time, you'll have Entei charged up turn 1 with this deck. And if he's hitting for 130 on turn 1, that's pretty awesome. If you can't get him charged up with the second attack, you usually can at least get him charged up with his first attack. Just with a Blacksmith, he's ready to go. So that's very helpful. So that's why we use Battle Compressor. We can get Blacksmiths and Fire Energy into the discard pile. Now we play 1 Echo Arm. It's actually very useful because if you're playing 2 tool cards on Entei, we're only playing 6 total, and he's going to get knocked out. And so Echo Arm allows us to grab the Heart Arms and the Muscle Bands back and reuse them. We play 2 Pokemon catchers. I know that these require a flip. They're like Lysanders, but you have to flip a coin. But the thing is sometimes we need to do Battle Compressor, Blacksmith and Lysander on the same turn. And so that's impossible to do because they're both supporters. So what we can do is Blacksmith to get our Entei charged up, and we got at least a 50-50 shot of pulling something up that we need. So Pokemon catchers, we play 2 of those. Very useful, very helpful in this deck. Play 1 Revive. You're not going to get more than 5 Enteis charged up just because it's just really hard. With only 4 double colorless, that means you're going to have to either attach Blacksmith and attach the energy, or you're going to have to double Blacksmith on 1 to get it going completely. So we just need 1 Revive. If they knock 5 Enteis out, they deserve the win. Of course, they're probably going to target Shaman before that. And actually, we're okay with them targeting Shaman because, we don't want them to target all of our Shamans, but if they choose to leave Entei charged up and take out a Shaman, that's really to their disadvantage, in my opinion. Play 1 switch, just because you never know if we need to if we get stuck with Shaman at the beginning of the game, but we can get Entei charged up on turn 1, switch into him, and then get him going instead of having to use Sky Return. Very, very useful. I'd rather do that. 3 Trainer's Mails to help us find an item or a supporter or a stadium that we need. 4 Ultra Balls so we can grab Shaman, so we can keep building our hand again and again, and to get Entei. Though typically we draw into Entei more than we search for him. But if we're out of Shamans, then we can always grab an Entei. 4 VS Seeker and all. That's just to reuse our supporters over and over. And then let's just go right into the supporter line. We've got Ace Trainer. I just play one of these. This can be battle compressed or discarded, but if we get behind, we can use it. It's kind of like an in. You know, shuffle your deck. Uh, each player shuffles his or her hand into her deck. Then the player who plays this gets to draw 6. The opponent draws 3. However, you can only use this if your opponent has more prize cards left than you do. So, I mean, I'm sorry, if you have more prize cards left than your opponent does. So there's Ace Trainer for you. We play 4 Blacksmith. It's just so useful in this deck. I mean, we're going to get charged up very, very quickly. So we got to play 4 of these. And we can also get VS Seeker for more. So we can Blacksmith easily 4 or 5 times in a game. Very easily. Play 1 Hex Maniac. Because we're playing double colorless, we do want to be able to get through walls like Aegislash and Pyroar and things like that. So Hex Maniac comes in handy, and with the VS Seekers we can always use it multiple times if we need to. Because we've got the Pokemon catchers, I just play the 1 Lysander. You know me, I normally like to play 2 Lysander just because I think it's that strong of a card. But with VS Seeker we can get it out if we need to. We also play 3 Sycamores here. And I know you would think, why not 4? However, Sycamore lets us discard our hand and draw 7. But with Shaman, draw power, we're going to speed through this deck really, really quickly. So not really necessary to play more than just the 3. You could play a 4th if you wanted to, but then you'd have to figure out what you're going to take out. Fated Town. Now, this card isn't getting a lot of play, but in this deck it kind of makes sense. Entei's damage is capped at 170. That's the absolutely max it's going to hit for. So when we run into a mega deck, we can we're definitely looking at 2-shot range. But Fated Town can help us potentially get into the 1-shot range. I mean, every turn of mine and my opponents, that's going to put 4 damage counters on a mega. So you throw in 170 from Entei, and now it's 210 on a mega, and then one more turn of Fated Town, and that mega is going to be gone. So we play 2 of those. We also play 2 Scorched Earth. We don't really have to worry about getting fire energy into the discard pile. Most of the time we get it in there very quickly with either Battle Compressor or Ultra Ball, but Scorched Earth gives us another way to put the fire energy and gives us draw power. And furthermore, it's just a counter stadium against other opponents. So both of these, if nothing else, they're at least counter stadiums, so the opponent doesn't get to use their Sky Field or whatever. Now we play 3 Hard Charms and we play 4 Muscle Bands. You could move it down to 3 Muscle Bands if you don't have that many or whatever. Put something else in, but 4 Muscle Bands, I mean, being able to double Muscle Band Entei just really helps a lot. So we want to do that. And then finally for energy we play 4 double colorless and 7 fire. We could go less on the fire, but this seems to be about right. I mean, every game I've played with this so far I've won. I've won 5 matches. It does struggle against some decks. Fighting is probably your biggest struggle, but you still fight, you still do well. The reason is because most of the EXs like Lucario or Landorus or even the new Machamp has 180 HP, and with our damage output capped at 170, it makes it difficult to one-shot them. So the best way to handle these, though, is to use Flame Screen first, which will reduce the damage that you get by 30, and then the next turn do the Heat Tackle with a Muscle Band on it, and you can usually finish them off then. In that case, you usually want to have at least 1 Muscle Band and maybe a Hard Charm on him, so that the damage will be reduced by 50 after the Flame Screen, but will also do 50 damage, and then the Heat Tackle will hit for 150, so that'll guarantee that you can get knockout on an EX that's 180 HP. Anyway, guys, so that's kind of the deck profile. I hope you like it. It's a really fun deck. It's really fast. It hits hard. So go try it out. It's actually, other than the shamans, it's not too expensive. Obviously, the shamans make everything more expensive. But if you're going to get into competitive play super seriously, you probably need to consider investing in a couple shamans at least. We can do some semi-competitive decks without them. And I am going to look at some more budget decks because I know you guys really liked it. When I did that Dust Talks deck, I got so many responses from that. So we're going to look at some other budget decks too. But anyway, guys, tell me what you think. Hit like, subscribe, put in the comments what you like about this deck or what you would change. And that's fine. I actually like to see what your ideas are on that. Go try this deck out and tell me your results also. Anyway, this is Pokedad, and I'll have another deck profile coming up just shortly. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.